this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
It is. Get it right, Texoma. Welcome to another episode. I'm Mike Hendren. This is Terry McAdams. That's Trey Serralo, the Texoma Trio here with you once again. We are here to inform and hopefully entertain you a little bit as well. And we try to focus on events all around Texoma. We do sprinkle in some regional, state, national stuff from time to time. We pretty much talk about what we want to, but we try to keep you informed as much as we can. And so thanks for taking the time to listen to us, to watch us. Those of you getting us on YouTube, obviously you see us, but you may also be listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast or some other platform. So thank you. However you get the show, and we do want you to talk about us, share about us on your social media pages. Go and visit our Facebook page, share it with your friends, and give us your comments too. We'd love to hear from you. What do you think of the show?
Absolutely.
Suggestions, ideas, anything at all, we'd love to hear about it. So be sure and tell us about it. It's brought to you in part by EddieHillsFunCycles, 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls since 1966. EddieHillsFunCycles.com. MacTech Solutions, 4020 Ray Road here in Wichita Falls, MacTech-Solutions.com. And by the way, Father's Day is coming up here in June. If you're looking for a great gift idea, Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, MacTech Solutions. I mean, come on. What dad would not love something from one of these guys? I'm telling
absolutely.
you. And if dad's got a sweet tooth, we can also hook you up with that through Lolli and Pop's Sweet Shop, lpsweet.com, the website. Also on Facebook, Lolli, Lollie, and Pop's, P-O-P-S, Sweet Shop. Again, lpsweet.com. All right, let's get into it. Coming up on June 14th, classic movie, Rudy, is going to be playing at the downtown Wichita Falls Farmers Market. Admission is free. It costs you nothing to get in.
So this is a thing I believe that they're doing at the farmers market. They're going to do these classic movie nights.
Yes.
So you get to go in, they put it up on their big screen there, and you get to watch a movie, and they just take your blankets and your chairs and whatever you want to lounge around in. And by the way, you can't beat this movie. This is an awesome movie.
Oh, yes.
This is one of my all-time favorite movies. Rudy. Yeah, if you've never seen the movie Rudy. And also there's a documentary out that is about Rudy Rudiger, the person. And that movie doesn't go too far. I mean, it's fairly close to the documentary. And that guy has made a whole living after that as a coach, a life coach and that sort of thing, and a motivational speaker. And I just think it's great. And but you talk about somebody who had a dream and laser focused themselves, and absolutely would not take no for an answer. That's that person.
You know, I've always felt like I probably could do pretty good as a motivational speaker. I'm not sure what I would motivate anyone to really do. But, you know.
Not going to broadcasting.
We could start there.
Yeah, only thing is, the most famous motivation of all time lives in a van down by the river.
I'm telling you.
Oh, you don't remember Saturday Night Live?
Chris Farley?
Oh, yeah, I remember him. I didn't watch it during that time a lot, but I remember
my goodness.
him.
Oh.
Pulling his pants up.
Yeah,
yes.
Matt, I forgot, Matt something, motivational speaker, and his glasses are and he would go down to live in a van down by the river.
And none of the other actors could keep a straight face around.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what it was like. It was like watching him and some of the other cast on Saturday Night Live, and they're trying to hold it together, and it's almost impossible to do.
Oh, yeah.
It was like watching Tim Conway and Harvey Korman.
Back in the day,
Back in the day on the Carol Burnett Show. Harvey Korman could not get through a skit with Tim Conway with a straight face. And the thing about Tim Conway, if you don't know, you need to go look up Tim Conway.
Yeah.
That dude could walk into a room and instantly everybody starts laughing.
Yeah, he just had that aura.
He just all he had to do was look at you.
Have you ever seen the little short skits, the short dude?
Oh, yeah.
The different short versions.
Dorf on golf.
Johnny Carson.
Oh, my gosh.
Those are funny.
It's hilarious stuff. I'm still trying to figure out how he did the little short, how he moved.
His knees.
Anyway.
Well, they were below the...
I guess so.
Okay. I just gave it away, sorry.
Anyway.
Thanks a lot, Terry. We need to put spoiler alert before that.
I know, yeah.
June 14th and the 28th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Take It Outside, community picnic series going on at Park Central with live music. Of course, you've got restaurants and other businesses around downtown that kind of surround Park Central down there. I hope everybody downtown that's got a business tries to get in on the act. I really do.
Well, especially if you have food or something along those, snacks or something along those lines. Yeah,
you got a captive audience here.
That's right. Park Central. And by the way, Park Central is everybody knows where Big Blue is.
Yeah,
it's right across the street from Big Blue, and so on the be the south side of Big Blue, and it's just west of Wichita Towers. There's an area right there. That's where that Park Central is. It has a one of those where it's got popular where people take pictures in front of it. It says WFTX.
Yep. Yes.
You've seen those all over. Like every time you see something in Cancun or Cozumel or whatever, people are standing
the
in front
Hollywood
of those.
sign.
The Hollywood, But nobody's standing up to the Hollywood sign.
That's a little bigger.
I'll tell you what, and I real quick, I know some people are kind of upset about so they're putting more traffic signals downtown.
Oh, yes.
They're actually replacing some traffic signals that were removed years ago when downtown traffic was really slow and very minimal, and they took the traffic signals out and replaced them with stop signs, made some one-ways, two-way streets and whatnot, just trying to increase the flow down there. And that was fine for a while. But Trey and I know this. Now, you've been here since, the mid-90s?
95.
Okay, so downtown was just starting to kind of, it was still on life support at that point.
Yeah, but it was percolating a little.
When we were graduating high school, almost 35 years ago, downtown Wichita Falls was dead. I mean, it had no pulse. It was, you could fire a cannonball down Scott Avenue and you wouldn't hit anybody.
In the evening. Now, there were office buildings. People had, because you had your courthouse.
Yeah.
And the courthouse business and the office bit, there was a lot of lawyers and that sort of stuff. But at 5 o'clock, at 4:30,
gone.
And at night, completely, like you said, you could literally fire a cannonball down there.
In 1991, Sears left downtown.
Yeah.
And they moved to Psych Center Mall on the other side of Wichita Falls. They were the last major retailer to leave downtown Wichita Falls, and when they did, it was like the life just got sucked out of downtown.
Yeah, that's it.
And so now it's a different story. And the reason I bring this up is I know some people are upset about them putting traffic lights back. No, they need to be there. I've had a couple of near misses down there recently where people disregarded the stop sign. Fortunately, no. But people disregarding stop signs or going the wrong way on a one-way, thinking it's a two-way or whatever.
Right. It gets a little confusing sometimes.
It does. So the traffic lights need to come back because downtown is coming back to life. And these events that are going on down there at the Farmers Market, Park Central, this shows you things are starting to come alive down there again. We had some momentum going, and then that fiasco in 2020 happened. And
the Kung flu?
Yeah, it kind of put the brakes on everything for about a year. And then starting late 21, early 22, things started happening again, and now here we are halfway into 24, and I think we're on track to have a really good, strong, vibrant downtown.
I agree.
Which helps everybody like yourself that's down there.
Yeah, of course, we're not really part of downtown, even though we are. We're kind of an anchor down there. We're on North Scott. What were you
I was going to say is when you go to work, do you just stay on 287 till you get to the exit and go by on Old Iowa Park Road and then come up, or do you?
No, I exit at 6th Street and go down.
Okay.
Down, take the overpass. I take the overhead and exit down at 6th and then turn left on Scott.
Oh, then you do it there. Okay, so you don't wait all the way. Okay.
So he's coming all the way up Scott.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I go down 6th Street and I turn left on Scott right there, right next to the courthouse. Annex is right there, and the McBride's downtown is right there.
So what have you noticed since all that time, since you've been, going to work and?
Well, really, but now when I come home, I don't usually go home that way. I usually drive through downtown just because I want to.
Right.
I drive all the way through Scott Street.
But you think
there's more and more people, especially now. Scott Street is not super busy all the time, but you go over, if you look over by the pub where you go to Ohio and Indiana. Indiana Street. Those streets are really more vibrant.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, they really are. All right. Well, anyway, it's going to be good. All right, moving on here. A couple more things coming up here. We got. Let's talk about the Clay County Hospital Board. They've approved a budget, and it has resulted in less funding for the ambulance services in Clay County. Is that correct?
Wouldn't know anything about it. How would I know? No. Full disclosure, I'm on the Clay County Hospital Board, and my first meeting happened to be Tuesday night when this happened. Yes, the Clay County Hospital Board, the ambulance services have been, and this is all public knowledge. I mean, this is nothing inside. Hell, I don't know anything inside. I just got there. But the first night literally was passing a budget.
Yeah.
Clay County loses over $600,000 a year in the ambulance services.
Wow.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And so what's going to happen is the hospital leadership, not the board, because the board doesn't, it's like any other board. The board oversees the policies and procedures and stuff, but hospital management manages the day-to-day.
Right.
What they're going to do is they're going to restructure some on the ambulance service to try to make it a little bit more efficient and try to save some money. No ambulance drivers are going to lose their job, and nobody's going to get a pay cut. They will probably lose some overtime. Yeah. And that's just the reality. There's people, because right now there's 2 crews of ambulances running 24 hours a day, 365, and that's the management wants to try have a full time and then a half crew, depending on maybe a time and a half trucks, depending on what's going on. So the time of day and peaks and all that. Sure. So anyhow, there's the biggest thing is just to understand the ambulance service is not going away. Ambulance drivers aren't losing their jobs. There's a lot of hoopla about that, but it's just simply going to be a restructuring of the.
But what about
service.
Response times?
Don't know what's going to happen now. I mean, you just don't know. Okay. I mean, you could have 50 people standing there sitting around waiting to go, and it could cost you $10 million, and you could almost have immediate response. But it is what it is.
No, I get it.
It's all good. It's a balance. Right. You always want to. It's just like any first response. Yeah. You want to be sure that you have that there, and all those people are very important. Right. Where it's fire, police, ambulance, all those people are very, very important. But there is a dollar. There's a dollar tied to everything.
Right. Well, generally, tell me if I'm wrong, generally, at least in Wichita Falls, and I know in Clay County, at least where I'm at, that the fire department is the fastest. They're the ones first on the scene in most cases.
But they're volunteering.
Right. But what I'm saying is that whether it's in city or in Wichita Falls or in like I said, where I'm at, Jolly is my fire department. So they are definitely, I mean, my neighbors, several of them are firefighters, and so they have to, depending on where they're at, they may have to go to the bypass my. Surely they'd come direct. So a lot of them will go direct to you.
It just depends. Yeah. And not every volunteer fireman, first off, is available. Right. And not every one of them is EMT certified.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that in our case, we've had my in-laws were staying with us. So anyway, then they followed up with the ambulance after that. So that may not be all the cases. So, but even then, I guess you said that time will tell.
It really kind of will.
Well, there's a cost associated with everything. You know, even a volunteer fire department, volunteer service, there are costs involved in that, and they have to fundraise to buy equipment and so forth.
There's also cost in the response time because they're not a professional fire department. When I say professional, I'm not demeaning them as a person. What I'm saying is they're not sitting on call waiting to be. Correct. They're not paid professionals that are sitting there waiting to go at a moment's notice. They're volunteers. So if nobody's around at that time and your house catches on fire, the response time may be slower than it would if you lived inside a city that had a professional fire department that people are sitting there waiting to go.
But I think there's a statistic I've heard of, and I don't know what the actual numbers are, but my understanding is most fire departments are volunteer fire departments around the country.
Oh, yeah, most of them are.
Right.
Yeah,
so, that's an interesting, you have the larger towns.
But anyway, very few are paid.
So we'll kind of see how things go. But the biggest takeaway on this was nobody's losing their jobs.
Right.
Nobody's getting pay cuts. There may be some overtime hours that people aren't going to get paid, but overtime's overtime. It's not a guaranteed thing. No.
You're right.
They had a runoff election down in Archer County for the Commissioner Precinct 3 seat, and it was between Kendall Coleman and W.C. Abernathy, and Coleman won that election. It was a better than a 40% gap. Is that correct?
That's true. And that was the runoff. Yeah, I think there were like 5 or 6 that ran in the original election, and these two made the runoff. And so, Kendall Coleman did handle that election pretty well. So Archer County, if you're in Archer County and watching this, if you're in Precinct 3, you have now you know who your commissioner is.
And that happens frequently when you have
who your commissioner's going to be, because obviously the commissioners are already there, and Coleman may be a commissioner now. I'm not quite sure.
I'm not sure.
But what I'm saying is whoever's there is they're going to finish a year out, and they'll be sworn in the new year. So if he's not there, he'll be the new commissioner in 2025, but if he is there, then he'll just keep doing his job.
Yeah, you see this often, though, when you have 5, 6, 7 people running for the same office. If one person fails to get 51% of the vote, or whatever the legal threshold is for that office, 50 plus 1 or 51% or whatever. But if they fail to meet the threshold, then your top 2 candidates are going to a runoff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Each time. And I think we've probably seen more runoffs in the local area in the last few years.
It's been more common.
It's been more common in the last 5 or 6 election cycles, I think, than it ever has been before.
Yeah.
So
congratulations to Kendall Coleman. All right, are we done now? There's nothing else to talk about, right?
No, that's it. We're all. That's the rest of the day is empty. No, it's not actually.
Yeah.
So as of the recording date of this podcast, May 31, we now know what the verdict is in the Trump case. Yesterday, that jury in New York found Trump guilty. Was it 34 counts?
All 34 counts.
Yeah.
Guilty on all 34 counts. This is unprecedented. We have never had a U.S. president, sitting or former U.S. president, convicted of felonies before.
No.
They took what was essentially a misdemeanor thing.
That had run out of the statute of limitations had run out, by the way.
And they finagled a way to turn this into multiple felony charges. And they took him to trial, and they got a jury in with very little deliberation. I really thought the deliberation would go on a lot longer than it did. With very little deliberation, they came back with guilty on all 34 counts.
Well, think about it, though. And look, we could sit here and poo-poo the jury and look down at the jury all we want, but the fact is the way the testimony was given, and also there were certain testimony that was not allowed.
Right.
The judge controlled this case.
Oh, yeah.
Judge Marchand controlled this case. Yep. And Trey Gowdy, former congressman, but he's also a trial lawyer,
yes,
said this, and I think it was the way he said it, he said that the judge instructions to the jury were basically a roadmap for a conviction.
Yeah.
They almost had no choice based on the testimony they heard, the testimony that was excluded, and the judge's instructions. They almost had no choice. And by the way, before you get too uppity on this, and look, I'm not defending anybody, but these people have to go live back in Manhattan. Can you imagine what your life would be if you lived in Manhattan? 2 of them are like corporate lawyers in Manhattan. Probably would lose your jobs if you came back with a non-guilty verdict, because there's a group in that part of Manhattan. There's a lot of people who hate Trump there. They're ultra liberal.
Yeah.
They're the type of idiots, like we talked about earlier on the other show, that they don't mind spending millions and millions of dollars and wasting millions and millions of dollars for this.
Yeah, and they did. Millions of dollars was spent to prosecute this case. That money you'll never get back, by the way.
Well, Fox News has an article on about the legal experts say that Trump conviction is a target-rich environment for appeal, which we know. Right. So
there's nobody that doesn't think it won't get turned over.
But the interesting thing is, though, let's say that it is. Let's probably will be. We understand that. But what accountability will there be for any of this?
Oh, back to the judge?
Exactly. The judge, the prosecutors,
None.
I mean,
which is ridiculous. That's why you need to be able to sue if you are wrongfully. I think that if you're wrongfully convicted, or you win an appeal, that you ought to be able to go back and try to sue the judge or the prosecutor, the original prosecutor that prosecuted you. Now, it should be a high threshold. It should be one of those deals where, we're going to overturn it because there was little mini things right here. No. But it's kind of one of those. Well, there's preponderance of the evidence and beyond a reasonable doubt. But if you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you were railroaded, somebody's ass ought to pay.
Well, but okay, now let's think about that. Do judges protect other judges?
Of course.
So you're going to go to another judge?
But do you think the Supreme Court judges are going to protect?
No, not especially right now.
A local judge in New York.
And there's talk about how there's a path where Trump could appeal directly to the Supreme Court in this case.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that's a pretty muddy waters there.
Well, here's the thing, though, guys. I think we have now set a very dangerous precedent here.
Oh, yeah.
We have convicted a former U.S. president, and we have put him, first of all, the sentencing is going to happen on July 11.
Yeah, 4 days before the
beginning of the RNC. This is when the sentencing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can anyone really envision taking a former U.S. president who has to have Secret Service protection? He is entitled to it. He will have it. And putting him in prison with rapists and murderers and child molesters and all these people that have committed some have committed very heinous crimes. Now you're going to have to put this guy in there with him, and he's got to have Secret Service protection every second that he's in there.
Yeah, it's a fool's errand. But but this is even crazier because this wasn't a federal, this wasn't even a state. This was a city. This is New York City.
Yeah,
Alvin Bragg's not the
This
state.
is not a state.
No, he's not the New York Attorney General.
No.
He's a district attorney in New York City. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Now that everything you talk about when you talk about legal, they talk about precedent. That's why the next thing is because of a precedent before.
Right.
So just throw this one out. What if you get someplace in let's say very, very, very red North Texas, and you have a DA that goes, well, Biden said,
oh yeah,
he made some false statements that we can prove are demonstrably false. The amount of people that cross the border, now the inflation rate. That's the latest one. Remember, he's come out and said the inflation rate was 9% when he took office. That is 100%. There's some things you can lie with statistics. You can't lie that statistic because the rate was what it was. So you can prove in a court of law that what he said is false, right? Yeah. So did he talk to it? Now, can you find where he talked to his campaign manager? And the campaign manager, they colluded saying, yep, that's false, but it sounds good. Now all of a sudden, by God, I think we're going to convict Joe or bring charges against Joe Biden for trying to upend an election. That's what all this was about, election interference. Is he going to get a fair trial in Windthorst, Texas?
Of course,
or what? I'm not knocking Windthorst. Or Jack County, Texas. Yeah. Or Knox County, Texas? Is Joe Biden going to get a jury of his peers there?
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I get your sentiment that it's going to open up potentially. It wouldn't happen in Washington, D.C., but if in Washington, D.C., in the White House, that's where these policies, and I'm sure they've discussed this stuff. So, but if we got in a prosecutor in Washington, D.C. city who could do that.
What about Delaware?
Well, or Delaware, right?
Joe Biden's talking,
right in his jurisdictions, jurisdictions where he's visited.
Or what about when he came to Texas and toured the border? Did they have a talk there and somebody there? That's what I'm saying. What I'm telling you is this is a slippery slope. This is a can of worms. This is a Pandora's box. This is whatever you want to put on this thing. Yeah. This is fucking nuts.
There's a video out here, and I have shared it on Facebook. There's a video out here that's a compilation of news reports from the late 1980s when Joe Biden was running for the Democratic nomination. Mm-hmm. And he was caught time and again in repeated lies about his education.
Yeah.
Said he graduated in the top of his class. He did not.
And then also plagiarizing.
Yeah,
plagiarism.
Yeah.
He in speeches that he was getting, in debates, he was plagiarizing people. Not just in college. He was as candidate Joe Biden. He was plagiarizing political figures. He plagiarized John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy. He plagiarized a very famous British politician whose name escapes me at the moment. He lied about he said he had 3 degrees. He only has 1.
Just the other day in a speech, he said something about where he was recruited by the Naval Academy to play football, but he decided not to go.
Which never happened. Never, ever happened.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Okay.
But he was, and I had this conversation with somebody who was probably born in 1988 or 89 yesterday, and I told her, I said, did you know that Joe Biden ran for president before? She goes, no. When? I said it was either in the very late 80s or the very early. I think it was in the late 80s. I think it was when Bill Clinton first one.
Well, it was
no. It had been in the early '90s when Bill Clinton.
It was in the '80s. This would have been around the same time that we had the scandal with Gary Hart.
Okay, so it was that election cycle.
It was the '88 election.
Okay, so the late '80s, yes. But Joe Biden basically was drummed out of the. I mean, he was a for real candidate. He was raising money. He had a campaign committee. It was the whole thing, and he got drummed out because of the plagiarism.
Yes, and you had Sam Donaldson. Big-time ABC correspondent Sam Donaldson. You had all of the Eleanor Clift and all the members of the McLaughlin group.
Eleanor Clift. Oh my God! You talk about somebody whose voice can cut through you like nails on a chalkboard.
And when you've lost Eleanor Clift, by the way.
Yeah. And you're a leftist. She's left. Put it this way: Eleanor Clift was jealous of Monica Lewinsky. I've never seen somebody so in the tank for Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
She was in love with Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Bill Clinton could have killed a bus full of babies, and Eleanor Clift would have kind of figured out a way to try to excuse it.
Yeah. There's nothing. But Joe Biden was caught time and again lying. Now, I've told you, I firmly believe this man's got dementia.
Oh, yeah, we know that.
Okay? And one of the things that I have noticed about people that I've cared for, that I've taken care of that had dementia, particularly Alzheimer's, it seems to intensify what is otherwise the worst aspects of your personality. If you were a very angry person before you got sick, your anger, your temper becomes even more intense. Your outbursts become more intense. Yeah. And I think in this case, Joe Biden has spent so much of his life fabricating facts about his life, outright lying about aspects of his life, that now Joe Biden, the elderly man with dementia, now he can't help himself.
Yeah, that's true.
His condition is causing him to tell even more lies, and like the thing with the football and the Naval Academy, the lies just get more outlandish.
Well, nobody ever, and that's the first time he said that one, but nobody can find any record of that, by the way.
No.
And by the way, how many times did he say, true story? When somebody tells you that,
yes,
that means they're full of shit.
you know you're about to be lied to. You were about to be outright lied to.
That's almost like when somebody goes, no offense, but you know they're about to offend you.
Yeah.
Nobody says no offense, but and then gives you a compliment.
Yeah. Anytime someone opens a line with me with all due respect, I know right then that respect is not about to be given.
It's about to be disrespectful.
It's just that the respect is out the window the moment they say that. Anyway, guys,
what did you find?
Oh, just in 1990 or 1988 was, and 2008 he ran on the third time he finally got in, and
I forgot that he ran in 2008, but I did remember in '88.
Right.
Well,
because let me tell you, that's when I first heard about plagiarism. Not heard about it, but realized how serious it was and how serious people took it. Like you said, everybody, journalists especially, were like going, because in journalism that is one of their big no-nos.
Well, it was then.
Yes, supposed to be one of their big no-nos. You're right.
It was then.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a huge deal. He's a plagiarist. He's plagiarized this and that and everything.
Oh yeah. Wow. When I was a journalism student many years ago in a galaxy far, far away, plagiarism, that was the absolute cardinal sin.
Yeah.
If you plagiarize someone else's work, you might actually find yourself at the end of a rope. I mean, it could get that serious. I mean, I'm exaggerating just a little bit, but seriously, it was a cardinal sin. You did not plagiarize.
But it took a lot of work, though. But that's the other thing. It took a lot of work to plagiarize. Today, it doesn't.
Yeah, well,
you just copy and paste something.
You know what I just found ironic?
What's that?
The word cardinal sin, we use that for the worst thing like that. Uh-huh. But a cardinal's a really high-ranking person in the Catholic Church. Uh-huh. The cardinal sin should be what some of those priests were doing.
Well, that's a whole nother.
That was a cardinal sin.
That was and beyond.
And by the way, I am not saying the Catholic Church. I'm not disparaging the people in the Catholic Church or the Catholic Church as a whole, but the leadership of the Catholic Church. That's outrageous. That leadership. leadership knew that was going on.
That's a whole other show.
And didn't have those people thrown in prison.
That's a whole other show.
Just moved them around.
That's to me is one of the most outrageous things that's ever happened in our country. Is that, and once again, it's not disparaging to the people, the Catholic people, or the people of the Catholic faith, or some of the upper echelon, but the ones that were involved in that and knew what was going on, the son of a bitches ought to rot in hell, and they probably will. By the way.
Well, there was something recent about. Did you hear that the Pope made a disparaging term towards homosexuals the other day? Yeah, and they don't, of course, release any of his transcripts of him talking in their private stuff, but that's something that just you brought that up.
Well, saying something negative about somebody like that is not as big a sin as abusing children.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that. In fact, it's the reason he was trying to defend traditional marriage or priests. That's what it was. Priests in the being gay or. He's still against that. Okay. So that was, and he apparently slipped with a.
Well, to be fair, and let me be fair, because you know me, guys, I call balls and strikes. To be fair, though, most pedophiles are not gay.
No, right. You're right.
They're not. No, what I'm saying, not saying. I guess if you do a homosexual act, you're gay. That makes you. But they don't live gay lives. No. Most pedophile men, which most men pedophiles are men, are identify as heterosexual and are in only heterosexual relationships unless they're abusing somebody.
Right, and there's some other screw
Once
loose.
again, I call balls and strikes, and I don't give a shit if somebody likes it or not likes it. So that's reality.
So to sum all this Trump thing up, though, basically Trump he may have done these things, right? But the law states that apparently that the statute of limitations has already been met, so they shouldn't have brought it.
It's not a felony.
You're right, and they were able to accelerate all this to a felony. I think it was because of the repeated. They saying multiple times he committed these, and then the thing is. Right.
Violation.
Right. But they don't have the jurisdiction, it seems, to even have prosecuted it to begin with. At the city level.
Well, no, they don't have the jurisdiction.
Even at the state level.
Whatever's going to happen in the appeal, it's going to happen rapidly. Keep your eyes open. Things are going to happen very, very fast now.
Yeah.
This appeal they are going to push hard for this. And if
I was Trump, I would.
Yes, and they're going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at this. Things are going to happen very rapid fire from here forward.
I think the reason behind this, the reason behind this was nobody in their right mind. There's a bunch of idiots out there, but nobody in their right mind, especially nobody in the political realm, really thinks that Trump is going to prison and unable. And by the way. There's no law that says you can't be a president from a prison cell.
No.
But nobody in their right mind politically, Joe Biden, his surrogates, and all those people, they don't think that Trump is going to prison. I think the whole reason behind this, they spent millions and millions of dollars because they want to say convicted felon Donald Trump.
Yes.
I think that and hope and pray that what that does is that sways a few voters their way.
Well, right. Yeah, that's all it's about.
They're not going to look, the hard leftists, they're already going to vote. They're going to vote against Trump. They can't even stand Biden. They hate Biden, but they're going to vote against Trump.
Right.
The people, and I think most conservative people, this is just hard no more going, hey, maybe I need to get out there and vote because if they're doing this to this guy, Stevie Wonder can see that this is a railroad.
Here, again, we're recording this on May 31. This was reported by the Washington Examiner. 10:46 a.m. this morning, they reported this. Trump and GOP smash fundraising records after guilty verdict.
What'd they get?
They're reporting record fundraising hauls in the wake of this conviction.
Yep.
The Trump campaign sent out a statement saying it shattered fundraising records by bringing in $34.8 million, almost twice as much as in any single day prior to yesterday's verdict.
Yeah.
So again, what this is going to do, this is going to galvanize the Trump base. This is going to galvanize the Trump base. This is going to bring more people to his side. It's bringing in more money. I mean, one of the Republican sites, I saw this earlier today. One of the Republican sites last night crashed. There were so many people trying to log in. They crashed the site. And as of this morning, they still didn't have it back up and
Terry,
running.
when's the last time you heard of a site crashing? I mean, that doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to. Used to, it happened a lot in the tech world.
When they first opened up the Healthcare Act websites and stuff, they crashed. But that's a whole other.
But you used to hear about sites crashing all the time. You don't hear about it nearly as much.
And here's the other thing too. This is coming from Chris Lasavita and Susie Wiles. These are campaign advisors for the Trump campaign. They said not only was the dollar amount historic, but almost 30% of yesterday's donors were brand new.
That to me, that's this calculated risk I think the Democrats are taking. But what they're doing, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have the people who are already going to vote for Trump. Even like people like me who don't like Trump personally, and would rather somebody else other than him that had his policies be in there. But obviously, I'm going to support voting for him because I can't vote for Biden at all. But you're going to have people that don't like Trump, don't want to vote for Trump, but see this and go, "This is bullshit."
Yeah, and it's
and
going to bring them to the side.
I was maybe going to sit it out, but now I'm going to go vote because this is absolute bullshit.
Well, and just on that note, though, just real quick, I'm trying to find a date on this, but March 27th this year. Okay, so this is in the early stages of this, but more than $100 million in legal spending since leaving office that he's spent does not include spending from his 2024 campaign, which has not paid his personal legal bills. The use of donations to pay for his personal lawyers has been allowed under federal rules. So that was my question, is I didn't know how that money, so that can be. So by donating, you can help in that. Because
you're helping his legal bill.
Right, yeah. And as much as he's a billionaire or whatever, I mean, this is taking a big toll on him. I mean,
he's a billionaire, but he
didn't have all
paper.
Right, yeah, he didn't have a lot of that cash on hand.
You can't call you couldn't call Elon Musk and say, "Hey, can you grab $20 million real quick in cash?" No, he can't real quick. I mean, he got to move stuff around and do. Right. Yeah, he could probably go borrow it.
Right, and that's usually quicker because he puts it up for collateral.
Exactly, but he couldn't. But he didn't have $20 million laying around in a safe cash.
Most any one of these guys, millionaires or billionaires, have got a few thousand, maybe even a few 100,000 in ready cash available in various places.
Tell us, Mike. I mean, how much do you keep around?
On a good day, about 87 cents. Yeah. But
I don't even buy you a cup of coffee anymore.
I know. Listen, guys, I'm living on Lolli and Pop Sweet Shop goods, and, and cheap coffee at the house, man.
The ones that didn't get sold, you have to, which that wouldn't be too many anyway.
Oh my God. No, there's not many scraps left
We
behind.
probably need to wrap this up. This has been a long one, but seriously, I think it's a real important one.
It very much is, and we will have a lot more to say in coming shows. Again, you've been watching Get It Right Texoma with the trio, Mike Hendren, Terry McAdams, Trey Serralo. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. Again, brought to you by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott in downtown Wichita Falls, EddieHillsFunCycles.com, MacTech Solutions at 4020 Ray Road, Suite 3B in Wichita Falls, MacTech-Solutions.com, and Lolli and Pop Sweet Shop, LP Sweet.
We're trying to mine here. We're trying to help you out.
LPSweet.com, on Facebook, Lolli and Pop Sweet Shop. Until next time, take care. We'll see you.